Well, you're in the Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Lon Kruger, of course, was the coach at UNLV for a long time. I watched him in an event at a Buffalo Wild Wings a couple of years ago, who was removed from playing basketball by, 30-some years? He didn't miss, Lionel. I mean, outside it was 110 degrees. He made shot after 15-footers, just nonstop. I'm like, these guys, they don't lose it ever.
Well, they don't. I don't think that part of their game is lost. It's the physical part, the ability to run, the jump, and stop and change pace and guard somebody is what you lose. And then also you lose the mental capacity to want to go out there and put in the work every day. That's a big part of why guys retire. It's a grind, and when it becomes a grind mentally, then you want to walk away. Long as it's fun and you're enjoying the whole part of it, it's like you take a golfer and or a swimmer. A swimmer is in the gym, in the pool all day long. Get in the morning, go to school, come back and swim at night. You can't do that at 27, 28, 29 years old. You don't have the mental capacity to do it, and it's the same way in sports. Pete Rose used to tell me when he was with the Phillies and I was with the Sixers, he said, they don't pay me to play. I play for free. They pay me to come and talk and do all this other stuff that I have to do. And it is something that, to be said about that. Great athletes and players, they love the game. They have a passion for playing, and the money just comes because they're good. It's the other stuff that becomes a grind after a while.
Things work, and you have to have kind of that thick skin to where it's going to go one way or the other in the league.
Well, I'm surprised, because no matter what, we were very successful in the 5 years that I was there. 3 of the years were playoff teams. The fourth year we won 40 games after winning only 24 the year before, so it was a big 16-game turnaround. And I was ready for the next step. I thought if we added a couple of players that we could go on and win, contend for a championship. But the reality is that it's a business, and financially Memphis is in a small market, and they chose to do what they did. I mean, they chose to hire my assistant coach, who's will probably make about $11 million less than I would have made if I had been there. So I understand that. It's about the money. It's always about the money, no matter what anybody says. And if you look at the moves that the Grizzlies have made, they traded Rudy Gay. They saved about $8 million. They traded 3 bench players to get out of the luxury tax. They don't rehire the coach. They go with a different coach. Some of it is financial. Some of it is ego and thinking that, we can do it better and make it work. And then what happens is they got to prove it.
Tell you, it was we said it at the time. I mean, it defined raw deal to us from afar anyway. I mean, I don't know how they did that, but the NBA and, fans always are so impatient the way it seems, but I think that the NBA proved this year it's also about upper management and teams in professional cities and that have franchises. 56 games, you lost to the team that had Miami down in Game 6. They were 28 seconds away from the championship. George Karl gets canned in Denver. He's the coach of the year. I don't understand what teams are thinking.
Well, things always change and go differently. I remember when I came in the league, there were quite a few former players that were coaches. And shortly after that, a lot of coaches from college came into the pros and took over because they were saying, well, they're just running the ball up and down the court. There's no X's and O's. It went that way. And then it started going back to former players. Then, now what we saw is a lot of assistant coaches who have not had opportunities yet or getting opportunities. And there's all different ways to go. I mean, and everybody who owns a team and pays the bills, they have the right to do what they want when they want.
You spent a little time at Arizona State just before you moved into the pro ranks. Mitch mentioned Lon Kruger, who I think is a terrific coach. Didn't happen for him in Atlanta. We've seen the Caliparis, the Patinos, even the Tarkanians. Now Brad Stevens gets this shot with the Celtics. What different is it about college than pros? How can a college coach who's really successful then go into the pros and it just doesn't happen for them? I remember Kruger telling me often, you better go to a good franchise, because if it's not run well, you could be the greatest coach in the world, but it's not going to succeed. What really stands out to you about a guy like what Brad Stevens now has to think about when he goes in from Butler?
Well, first of all, you coach the guys you have. You don't get to recruit who you want and have a pretty good chance of getting guys, even a second and third choice. But the biggest thing is the game is different. It's played with a 24-second clock, and it's up and down. There's a lot of decisions that are not even in the coach's hands once you get to the game. And so you have to do a lot more coaching and practice with a lot less time. We have 6 days of training camp. You're limited to 3 hours a day, and one of them can't even be contact. And it puts a big demand on on organization and preparation, and eliminating things that are not priority. And I think that's the biggest thing. In college, you can go through a week of just fundamental step this way, step that way, but when you get that 6 days, you're trying to get things in because you're starting to play, and then the games come real quickly, and trying to keep the players focused on getting better versus just now we're playing games and I don't want to work at practice anymore. Right. And the second thing is respect. I don't care how great of a coach you are, respect is earned when you get to a team. And the great coaches get that respect quickly. You might be respected because of your name, but players want to know, what can you do for me, and can you help me? Now, I didn't say team, I said help me. And it's something that you have to really strive to get players to understand it's about us, and not all players want to understand that. And the last thing is, you got management thinks that certain guys should play are going to be better, and they're not really that good. You see it every day in practice, and now you're getting that kind of friction from above on who you're going to play and not play, and how many minutes that you play these guys. But Brad Stevenson, I think, has a great chance. I think he works for a great group with the ownership in Boston, and also with Danny Ainge. And Danny understands the process of building a team, and that it takes some time. Fans don't understand that, and the media doesn't understand that a lot, and that's what happens to a lot of these coaches when they come in. They get a lot of money, they get a lot of power to run everything, but the team is crappy. Yeah. And it takes time. It takes time to build that team and to rid the team from some of the bad apples that don't want to win and don't want to get better. No matter, if you go around and look at all the great coaches, there's only been a few teams where a coach has taken over and there hasn't been any changes. Mm-hmm. Usually, when Pat Riley went to New York, they made changes. When Pat Riley went to Miami, they made changes. Everywhere that Larry Brown has gone, they've made changes before the team became good. There's a reason that they've gone to 3 or 4 coaches. It's the players more than it's the system or the coach.
That's Lionel Hollins with us, Gridlock, ESPN Radio 1100, 98.9 FM, out here at Team USA at the Mendenhall Center on the UNLV campus. Who are some of the players here that you expect to shine and would be, I guess, great fits for the Olympic team coming up in a few years?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, there's a lot of guys. I don't have a roster here with me, but I think that, when you look at some of these young point guards, Kyrie Irving, John Wall, those guys have a chance to really have an opportunity as they mature and take the place of some of the older point guards. Jason Kidd is out. Darren Williams has gotten older. Chris Paul has gotten older. Maybe they don't want to continue to put that grind in every summer that you have to be ready for the Olympics. And then some of these young guys can step in. I know, some of the guys that shoot the ball really well. When you look at Stephon Curry, you look at Thompson, you look at the kid McDermott is just coming on the scene. Paul George, and the athletic guy that's 6'8", 6'9", that can defend anybody, can handle the ball and make plays. Those are the kind of guys that are good for the Olympic team. It's not all the big guys, but you do need a couple of bigs, and I think somebody like Anthony Davis can step in. I really like the skill level of DeMarcus Cousins. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's got some maturity issues that he's got to continue to work on, but I thought he improved last year, and I think that skill-wise, there's not a big guy in the game that has more skill than him.
You're a graduate of Rancho High. Greg Anthony went there also. Several other athletes have come out of there. So you know the city. You've seen it grow. And I've been here since going back to about 1980. The talk is now, with the new commissioner coming in Silver, will Las Vegas get an NBA franchise? What are your thoughts about that, Coach? And if so, do you think it will work here?
I don't know whether they will or not. There's been conversation over the years. There's been the Utah Jazz used to play regular season games here. There's been a lot of exhibition games that have been played here, and for the most part, they've been sellouts. But to support 45 games and a year, and say the team is an expansion team and is not a very good team, I don't know if Vegas has that capacity or willingness to do that. But that's not for me to say as far as whether it be a team or not. I think from my perspective, with all the casinos and the resorts around here and the people that they fly in they'll probably buy up a lot of seats. Maybe they don't be filled every night, but I think that they'll buy up seats, and they could make it happen if they choose to. Whether it will happen, that'll be up to Adam Silver when he takes over.
Lionel, thanks so much for the time today.
Thank you, Lionel.
We really
Thank you,
appreciate
Coach.
it. Enjoy your time out here at Team USA in Las Vegas.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you guys
Great
for
stuff.
having me.